Hurricane Melissa is tearing through Jamaica, a Category 5 monster packing 175-mile-an-hour winds. Plus, President Trump greets U.S. troops in Japan as his Asia trip hits a critical stretch ahead of a showdown meeting with China's President Xi. And what a game! The World Series goes 18 innings, a marathon thriller ending on a walk-off homer and a record-setting night for the Dodgers. The stories that matter, clear and credible. From across the country to around the world, these are your unbiased updates from Straight Arrow News. Good morning, I'm Craig Negrelli. We begin with Hurricane Melissa now hammering Jamaica, the island taking a direct hit this morning from a Category 5 monster. Winds topping 175 miles an hour are tearing across the southern coast. Waves crashing over seawalls and floodwaters rising fast. Melissa is the strongest hurricane ever to strike Jamaica, and it's moving at a crawl, just 3 to 5 miles per hour, dumping relentless rain measured in feet, not inches. You saw all the water there. The U.S. Defense Department has released stunning footage from inside the storm. A U.S. Air Force Reserve crew, the famed hurricane hunters, flew multiple passes through Melissa on Monday, collecting critical weather data for the National Hurricane Center. Storm surge up to 13 feet is expected along the southern coast, and officials say catastrophic flooding and landslides are already underway. More than 1 million people have been ordered to evacuate. Airports and schools are closed, and power outages are spreading across the island. By later tonight, Melissa will pull away from Jamaica and head toward eastern Cuba, where up to 20 inches of rain could fall there. Hurricane warnings are also posted for the southeast Bahamas, as well as Turks and Caicos, as Melissa continues its historic destructive path through the Caribbean. President Trump continues his tour of Asia in Japan today before heading to South Korea for the final leg and a high-stakes meeting with China's President Xi Jinping. This morning, Trump addressed American troops aboard the USS George Washington, standing alongside Japan's new Prime Minister, Sanae Takaishi. The president spoke for nearly an hour, touching on the government shutdown, pay raises for sailors, and new military strikes targeting drug traffickers. He also made headlines with a major announcement on Japan's plans to invest in the U.S. economy.
And I was just told by the Prime Minister that Toyota is going to be putting auto plants all over the United States to the tune of over $10 billion. So that's Toyota. So go out and buy a Toyota.
Trump also confirmed that the first missiles for Japan's F-35 fighter jets will be delivered this week, a signal of growing defense cooperation between the two allies. Next on his agenda, a dinner with business leaders in Tokyo before he heads to South Korea tomorrow. The White House is now shaking up immigration enforcement, sources saying ICE just is not making enough arrests or deportations to satisfy President Trump. NBC and CBS News report the Trump administration plans to replace some regional ICE directors with Border Patrol officials, part of a push to step up migrant arrests and deportations. At least a dozen ICE leaders are expected to be reassigned in the coming days. Some have already been told. Officials say some of Trump's top advisors favor Border Patrol's more aggressive tactics, including rappelling into apartment buildings from Black Hawk helicopters and jumping out of rental trucks in parking lot stings. ICE has faced heavy criticism for its raids, but its strategy has largely focused on targeted arrests, a far more restrained approach than what Border Patrol is known for. The federal government shutdown is now in its fourth full week, and the ripple effect is hitting harder by the day. More than 40 million Americans could lose their food assistance by Friday, as funding for the SNAP program runs out November 1st. The issue is turning into a political flashpoint. The Agriculture Department says its emergency funds are reserved for natural disasters, while Democrats accuse the White House of choosing not to fund SNAP. And it's not just food assistance. More than 1 million service members are set to miss a paycheck this week after a measure to fund active duty military failed in the Senate. The House passed a short-term bill back in September, but the Senate has failed a dozen times to move it forward. Republicans want it clean. Democrats want health care subsidies and Medicaid funding restored. The head of the Federal Workers Union, Everett Kelly, says both sides have made their point and is calling on Congress to pass a clean continuing resolution to end the shutdown. Vice President J.D. Vance is expected to join Republicans for a luncheon on Capitol Hill today, while Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski put it bluntly, those that are losing are the American people. Sean Diddy Combs now knows when he will be free again. Federal records show his release date is set for May 8th, 2028. A judge sentenced Combs to just over 4 years in prison after a jury convicted him of transporting women for prostitution, but acquitted him on the more serious charges of sex trafficking and racketeering that could have put him away for life. The verdict followed an 8-week trial where prosecutors accused the music mogul of abusing his power to coerce women into attending sex parties and committing sex acts. Combs has been at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn since his arrest last year. He has served about a year already and is appealing his conviction. Combs' legal team has also confirmed he requested a presidential pardon from Donald Trump, a move the president has publicly acknowledged but called difficult to do. Finally this morning, a World Series classic for the history books. Did you see it? Or at least part of it? The Los Angeles Dodgers outlasted the Toronto Blue Jays in a marathon 18-inning thriller, winning 6-5 and taking a 2-1 lead in the series. Shohei Ohtani put on a show. 2 home runs, 2 doubles, setting a record for extra base hits in a World Series game. More on him in a minute. But it was Freddie Freeman who sealed it, crushing a solo home run in the 18th inning to end a game that lasted, get this, 6 hours and 39 minutes. In total, 609 pitches, 19 pitchers, 25 position players, and 27 runners left on base. The Dodgers now just 2 wins away from winning back-to-back World Series titles, and perhaps their third since 2020. All right, back to Ohtani. He had 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and he walked 5 times. So technically, he was on base 9 times. Unreal. I went to bed, by the way, and the Blue Jays were ahead in the 5th inning, and that seems like forever ago. All right, a busy day ahead. Here's what we're tracking. In Illinois, closing arguments today in the murder trial of a sheriff's deputy accused of killing Sonia Massey, an unarmed woman who had called 911 for help. In New York, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy holds a briefing at LaGuardia on how the government shutdown is straining air travel. Tonight in D.C., heels, wigs, and wild costumes hit the streets for the annual high heel race through DuPont Circle. And late tonight, President Trump meets South Korea's president as his Asia tour continues. Hey, we appreciate you spending part of your day with us here on Unbiased Updates, the fastest, fairest 8 minutes in news. Watch or listen anytime on the SAN app or at san.com/unbiasedupdates or stream us on Spotify. Those are your Unbiased Updates for this Tuesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Craig DeGrelli. Have a great day.